Hello, my name is Brice and I am working with Crystal. Our mentor for this project is Nicholas Tong, a cybersecurity analyst at AMSYS Innovative Solutions. We worked on creating a phishing campaign and ran a network vulnerability assessment. Phishing is a way of getting credentials or other information by pretending to be a trusted source. Many of us have probably experienced phishing multiple times already. An example of a phishing attempt would be an email sent that appears to be from Amazon, asking the user to log in to confirm a purchase. Of course, this email is not actually from Amazon. It is from someone trying to steal login credentials. However, a good phishing attack makes the victim believe they are dealing with a legitimate source so that the victim is willing to give away sensitive information such as their login information. For a company, a phishing attack is often difficult to defend against because it requires all of the employees to not fall for the phishing attempt. If only one employee gives away important information such as login details, then the attackers can potentially cause a lot of damage. Recently, Twitter was hacked by Mr. Clark, a 17-year-old who used phishing techniques to gain credentials allowing him to take over Twitter accounts. This shows how powerful phishing can really be. Mr. Clark was able to convince a Twitter employee that he was part of the IT department and had the employee provide credentials to give him access to a service portal for Twitter accounts. One solution to phishing is employee training. This is what we are working on. We are creating phishing campaigns for companies so that they can train their employees to not fall for phishing attempts in the future. There are more technical approaches which try to filter out phishing emails or detect fake logins. However, since there are ways to get around these filters, it is important that employees can detect phishing attempts by themselves as well. We use DigitalOcean, a cloud infrastructure provider, to host a VPS, or virtual private server, running Ubuntu. This is our VPS. From this page, we can access the console for our VPS and check information. On our VPS, we installed GoPhish. GoPhish is a phishing campaign toolkit that allows us to send phishing emails to many people at the same time using different templates that we created. This is our phishing campaign configurations. We select the email template, the web page URL that the email will link to, the launch date, the profile that the emails will be sent from, and the groups that the email will be sent to. On the right, you can see our email template. It was created using HTML and will appear similar to the real Microsoft account unusual sign-in activity email that is sent to Microsoft Office users when their account is logged into from an unusual location. This is what the email will actually look like when it is sent. Various elements of the email can be changed automatically by GoPhish, such as the name of the recipient and where the links will lead to. This is our landing page, which is designed to look similar to the Microsoft Office login page. This is where the link in our phishing email will lead to. We copied the HTML from the real Microsoft Office login page and then edited it so that it would work with GoPhish. Normally, the Microsoft login page asks the user for their email before asking for their password. Microsoft then checks to make sure that the email is valid before asking for the user's password. However, since we cannot communicate with the Microsoft servers to validate the user's email, we simply have the user provide their email and password on the same page to capture all of their login information at the same time. After the user logs into the fake login page, they will be directed to the real login page. This is our sending profile. It provides GoPhish with the SMTP server that we want to send our emails from. In this case, we are using the Outlook SMTP server to send our emails. We are also able to change who the email appears to be from. However, the Outlook SMTP prevents us from making our email address appear differently than what it actually is. We learned that some SMTP servers are more strict than others for sending emails. With the Gmail SMTP server, we were blocked from sending emails that appeared to contain phishing elements. With the Outlook SMTP server, we were unable to send emails with spoofed email addresses. In the future, we will try to find an SMTP server that is less strict or create our own server to run our phishing campaigns from.
Our next project was running a vulnerability scan. A vulnerability scanner is a program that looks for potential points of exploit on a computer or a network. In this case, we ran it on a company, using their main website as our starting point. Vulnerability scans are important because they allow companies to find their weak points. This lets them fix their vulnerabilities before they can be exploited by hackers. We used three main tools in order to conduct our vulnerability scan. The first tool we used was AMAS in order to conduct DNS enumeration. This allowed us to find a list of domains and subdomains from the company. For instance, we were able to find links of some email servers and other sites the company owns. The next tool we used was Nmap in order to look for open IPs and ports. We found them by giving Nmap a list of the domains and subdomains we found from the previous tool. Finally, we used GVM11 as our vulnerability scanner. We used this article to set up GVM on our VPS from DigitalOcean. After giving GVM a list of IPs and ports to scan, it would run a series of tests on them and then return a list of vulnerabilities the sites had. The top image is the command we ran for AMAS to obtain the list of URLs. The second image is what we ran with Nmap in order to find the open IPs and ports. Typing AMAS, then the intel subcommand, allows you to collect information on the blacked out URL and finds further domains and subdomains. The whois subcommand performs a whois lookup on the provided URL. Typing nmap-il tells Nmap that you want to use a list of IPs to scan from a list. In this case, our list was called enum-output.txt. This is the tool configuration panel for GVM11. The scan target is a list of IPs and ports we will input for GVM to scan. The QOD is the quality of detection, which changes the number of false positives you'll encounter. With AMAS, we were able to create a map of services we found from the company. The node in the center is the main URL. Here's a list of vulnerabilities from one of the scans we ran. Because of vulnerability scanning, we were able to improve our knowledge of the Linux terminal, as we needed it to install GVM11 onto our VPS. In the future, we also want to learn more about some of the tools we've used and other uses, such as for Nmap. Thank you for watching.